Hello everyone! Originally this video was supposed to be a day of DIYs with Lena, but considering that it takes me a whole day to make one straight stitch on my sewing machine, I had to take a rain check on that idea, starting with day one in my moon dress. Yes, I am going to wear this dress to sew today because it helps me channel my inner witch, and let's face it, I'm going to need a whole lot of magic to make up for my lack of sewing skills. And it's also the perfect way to flaunt my sleeves. I have no shame. In the background we have Janice. She's a lady boss. She's dressed for business. I did name my dressmaker's form Janice. Every time I make a sewing mistake, I feel like she's about to go,
oh my god.
I'm starting off with this teal skirt that is too big for me. The inspiration for this thrift flipped are these skirts with a slit in the leg. I might make mine a bit longer just because sometimes I just want to throw something on and not have to worry about showing too much leg. I wish I could go back in time to refilm the before of the skirt. The footage is terrible. Hopefully you can kind of see it. I am using a skirt that fits me as a template. It makes sewing DIYs so much simpler and will literally save you many headaches. Another nifty little trick is to use soap instead of tailor's chalk if you're starting off and don't want to spend too much on sewing supplies. It's cheap, washes off easy, and marks on the clothes really well. After marking the sides to the correct size, I am cutting it, making sure to leave a bit of room for seam allowance. And I pinned it. At that exact speed. I'm fast like that. After doing a straight stitch on both sides, I also did a zigzag stitch on the raw edge so that it's secure. Don't I look comfortable wearing this dress? So now onto the thrift flippy part, which basically consists of cutting a chunk out of the front of your skirt. I know, the most reassuring words an amateur thrift flipper could hear. I look like I know what I'm doing with my steel ruler and soap, but I was totally winging this. After drawing the marks of the Illuminati onto it and basically scribbling all over it like a child, I realised that this wasn't going to work. If I wanted this thrift flip to be remotely successful, I was going to have to try it on and mark the triangle. As you can see, I was totally off. I am putting a pin, so I know where the slit should start. This is what confident cutting looks like, by the way. If you're wondering how nerve-wracking this part was for me, this pretty much sums it up. I pinned the raw edge and began sewing. I then realised that my fingers are chunky AF and I couldn't manoeuvre the fabric without it looking like I was sewing junk.
It's too difficult.
So I had to pull out the old stitch unpicker, you know, the favourite tool of every sewing person. After taking out the machine stitches, I hand sewed it, and I have to say it looks pretty good. And here's the final result. Looking at it now, I kind of wish it was shorter, so I might have to re-flip this flip. Day 2 features a much less dramatic Lena, sobered by the realisation that there's a shit ton to do. Hot cup of coffee in hand for that much needed buzz. Initially, this skirt was supposed to be a simple resizing alteration, but the universe decided that that would be too unproblematic for me. Sewing a pleated garment, let me tell you, it is not easy. I don't have footage of how bad it looked, but to keep it short and sweet, I basically had to unstitch the whole side and turn it into a slit. So this is now a pleated skirt with a slit. I was a little worried. I was like, I don't know if that's even a thing. Can you have a pleated skirt with a slit? But turns out you can. and I ended up loving how it looks. Gives it a bit of that saucy vibe, you know. Tartan trousers. So the tartan trousers are technically cigarette trousers, and by that I mean that they're tapered around the leg, but they are a lot bigger, so I was hoping that I could get a much straighter cut out of the legs. So I used my straight leg trousers as a template, but the bottom part of the legs of the tartan trousers weren't wide enough. I sewed a straight stitch and went right onto the pockets because, let's face it, I don't have the skills to keep them. Although I would have loved to have pockets with these trousers. The tartan trousers were too long, so I had to cut them at the bottom and recreate the seam. Ladies and gentlemen, the highlight of my sewing journey right here. I managed to sew my trousers shut at the bottom in an attempt to make a seam, and essentially turn my smanchy fancy trousers into a onesie.
I can't believe I've just done this.
So how did this happen?
You'll see.
I actually love how it turned out. It's one of my favourite DIYs in this video, and I'm getting some super dark academia vibes from it. Next up we have the hair scarf. I told you guys about this in the last episode. This is such a simple DIY to do, but you need a fair bit of fabric to be able to do it. I did try to make the hair scarf out of the remnants of the teal skirt, but there just wasn't enough of it. So I decided that next time I go to the charity shops, I would hunt for a specific fabric for my hair scarf, and this was my chosen victim. After dismembering it apart in a carnage of thread and fabric parts, I had a rectangular shaped fabric. I cut it straight.
Look at that.
And sewed a straight stitch all along on the wrong side of the fabric. Very important, it has to be on the wrong side. And I am using black thread, but don't worry about that at all, because at the end of the DIY, the stitch is going to be invisible. I made sure the ends were diagonally cut for that slanted edge, and then I sewed a straight stitch along one end only. Very important, it has to be one end only, because we're going to be turning this inside out afterwards. And voila, you can't see any stitches at all. You just have to iron the edges to make them more crisp. I then hand sewed an invisible stitch along the other end, and we're done. I can totally see myself wearing this scarf during summer, spring, autumn. Just give me a field and a country dress and I'm going to be wearing this hair scarf. Decided to go for a bit of a walk with all that sewing that we've been doing. Get a bit of sun. It's not too cold. Wow, look at that, gorgeous.
Shabby. I like looking up at the trees and everyone moving around, bees moving around.
Oh, look at them crying. I had some ambitious ideas for this particular top. I wanted to cut the extra bits on the end and use them for ruffles around the arms. But once I chopped it, I really liked the simplicity of it and I decided to keep it like that. It's a great little tee to have over jeans and put a cardigan on top and you're good to go. Birdcage veil. Okay, so this is the most out there DIY of this video for sure. I probably won't be wearing this on my way to the supermarket, but I so wish this was a trend because I want to wear a birdcage veil every day. It's mysterious and glamorous. It's also the easiest DIY, easier than the mustard top, because it doesn't involve scissors, and we've seen what scissors do to my confidence. So what you do is you get some birdcage veil.
Quality content?
Quality content.
That's on job.
Quality content.
And using a fine needle and black thread, you pass it through the little eyelets, which are the little black squares. And I did that from one edge to the other on the short side, and I did the same on the other short side, and I left a considerable amount of thread hanging so you can pull these and scrunch the veil up to your liking. But I'm going to do that once I've put it on the beanie so I know how it's going to look at the end. So just leave those two bits of thread hanging and we'll sort that out later. And now that I've got it on the beanie, I can see how it should look. I can scrunch it up to how I want it to look and then tie a knot at the end and cut off the excess fabric. I hope this makes sense. I didn't attach the veil permanently to the beanie because I'm not going to be wearing this out and about. It's mostly to help me channel my inner Savantese, and then the rest of the time I can just be regular beanie girl on her way to, I don't know, where do I go? On the way to the park to record a video. You can just tuck the ends into the beanie fold. Is that a technical term? Beanie fold. Or use some safety pins to attach it so it's removable. The inspiration for this crochet cardigan, well, I actually made these inspiration boards after I made the flips. So these boards are a bit BS, but it's pretty, you know? I am using a blouse that fits me to resize the garment, and lots of bulldog clips. These little clips are so handy for sewing, and they just make sewing like a dream. Okay, sewing is not a dream. I don't know what I'm saying. This particular DIY is just me resizing it. I don't know if it's going to be a bit boring, but I essentially cinched in the arms and left the sides as it was because I wanted to use a belt on it anyway. And then you'd have to serge it, but I don't have a serger, so I do a zigzag stitch along the edge to make sure it's secure. I love how it looks paired with the coat. I'm all about contrast and combining different textures, and I love the stiff military fabric with the much softer knit. I love the stiff military fabric with the much softer knit. You could also put the belt on top of the coat and then cinch everything in at your waist, or even tucked in some jeans. This little cardigan would look so good because, again, denim, tough fabric, cardigan, softer fabric. You get the gist. I am loving very monochromatic palettes at the moment, and I'm also loving browns and tan colours. And I think at this point I need to add a camel coat to my wardrobe because you guys are probably sick of seeing me in this trench coat and it's just not warm enough for winter. So I am thinking of getting myself a brown coat. And these were my DIYs. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.